Welcome to Queensland Nurse. Today we're going to go through the graduate nurse resume that's provided through James Cook University. Now to find this one, you just go into the Google search bar, type nurse resume, James Cook, or just James, and it should be the first PDF that shows up. So we're going to look at this one right here. Click into that one. Now, as it comes up, they've got a great example here, and they also give some great advice. So they talk heavily about tailoring your resume to the graduate position you are applying for. So what someone might write in a pediatric resume that's geared at a pediatric graduate nurse position is going to be really different to somebody who is applying to surgical or emergency or intensive care. So you really want to tailor your resumes to the graduate nurse position you are applying for. Then they've also got this section of headings that you can use. So they've got personal details, your professional summary, education. They've also got the memberships down here. As you go back up to the next side, it's got clinical placements, employment history, referees, and they've also got some other optional headings in this section here that you can use in place of these other headings. Then what I love about James Cook University is they've got this section here, language. And what they've actually done is put in an action verb information sheet. So this is swapping out words like worked out. Instead, you could put in negotiated. So if you go into this hyperlink here, which I've just clicked on now, it will take you into these action words to describe your achievement and skills. So they've got like arranged, assembled, consolidated. Look at all these words. Instructed, investigated, promoted, transformed, validated, qualified, motivated. All of these action words that really describe your achievement and skills. So let's go back into the resume and scroll on down. Now they've got their top tips highlighted in blue here. I particularly like this section here. Be clear, concise, and truthful. Don't lie in your resume. If you haven't done something, don't say you have. Just those real basics, you know. Don't say that you are fluent in sign language if you are not. I also like this section here where they say use bullet points. You really don't want your resume to be paragraph on paragraph on paragraph. Just try and be short, succinct, and to the point. So as we scroll down, we can see their example here. They've got the name highlighted in bold. They've got all of the contact details just here. And then they've also go on, anything in blue is going to be some advice that they want to give you as you write your own resume. They've chosen to go with a professional summary, followed by an education. You'll see that they've also included the grade point average here. You don't have to put that in, and I would probably not put it in if you had a GPA that was less than 4. But if you've got anything above that, that's a great achievement, and you can put that one in there. And as we scroll down, they've listed their clinical placements with their most recent placement being first. You can see that they've also picked out how you contributed to the ward or clinic, any skills that you learnt. You don't need to put in a supervisor's comment, but if you receive some really great feedback, that may be something that you choose to include on your resume. As we scroll down, we keep going through the clinical placements. You may choose to put in your professional development, your blue card, first aid and CPR. Maybe you've got basic life support because you've been an EN in the past or an AIN. Any other education or training, professional development, you can pop in this section if you choose. So as we move down into the employment history, as you can see, they've got their assistant in nursing. They've given a couple points of what they did as an AIN. When it comes to this section here where they've worked as a receptionist and retail assistant, I would recommend that you leave this off, or just put, for example, 2019 to 2020 receptionist, and then the organization you worked, without listing the dot points below. You don't want to waste time or space, should I say, on your resume with these sort of things. I'd really save that space for clinical placements, what you've learned, what you've achieved, because the bulk of your resume as a graduate nurse should really focus heavily on your clinical placements. So as we move down to community service or volunteer work, this is usually well received by the recruitment panel. So if you've got any volunteer work, pop it in, but again, not taking up too much space for this section. And then they've chosen to talk about some of the communication, critical thinking skills, teamwork that they've developed on clinical placement. I would not advise putting in your interests at all. That is just, to be honest with you, recruitment panels don't really care what you like to do on the weekend, how many pets you have, how many awards you've won in basketball. They don't care, so leave that stuff out. Lastly, we come down to our referees. Now, some people do ask, should I put in an old manager from when I was an AIN, an EN, a pharmacist, a paramedic? I would not advise to use any of these people because they have not seen you in the role of undergraduate registered nurse. The people who have seen you best in this role is a clinical facilitator. So I would highly recommend choosing 2 clinical facilitators from your most recent placements. Keeping in mind that we're not copying this resume, this is just to generate some ideas as we each write our own resume. Lucky for you, I do have some resume templates available on my Etsy store. The link is in the description below. And I've also got some interview tips that I've put into an ebook in the Etsy store as well, which I will also put in the description below. I hope you've found this helpful today on your nursing journey, and I wish you the best.